Count money, man. Stack riches. Try and told him I'm a beast blood.
What's up, gang? Welcome to another episode of the GRINDcast. Get ready, it's a new day. We got a special one today. We got Dalton and Big Perm.
Come on.
In the house. What's up, Big P?
What's happening, y'all?
What up, Dalton?
What's up?
My dude. So we're just coming back fresh off the Seattle trip in the wind. Big Perm, you came with me.
With the two. Yeah.
Oh, he was, remember he went with the two, went with the second round. 38 seconds. 38 seconds into the third round, Perm. That's the first thing I was thinking. Like, Perm, you was only short. 38 seconds, dog. And you had it. So Dalton with the finish in the third round, 38 seconds into the third round.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations, moving to 7-0 in Bellator, my dog. So proud of you. But I told so we got Julie, the massage lady, right?
Yes.
The massage lady. The week before Dalton's fight, before I went out, I told Julie, I'm like, watch this. I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen, because the dude Romero Cotton, 3-time Division II national champ wrestler. I'm like, I'm already gonna tell you what's gonna happen. Dalton is gonna wait for the right time. He's so stubborn. You know he's stubborn. Yeah. He likes to argue and stuff. So he's gonna definitely try to out wrestle the cat on purpose, because everybody's saying how good of a wrestler he was. And I don't know what the stats were, but I know you was stuffing his takedowns, and I know for sure I saw you take him down a few times, dog. So I know that was one you wanted for a long time. Tell us about what that whole deal was, what that felt like, what the win felt like, what the preparation was like, all of that.
I mean, to start off, you were right. You told me this right after my fight, because I told you exactly what I did. I didn't need to wrestle during that fight at all. You know,
you didn't. I know you didn't.
Not at all.
I was picking him apart on my feet. It wasn't even close on the feet, but I took him down just for the hell of it. You know what I mean? After I already stuffed 5-6 of his takedowns at that point. You know, I don't know what the exact stats are either, but I've had people telling me 9. I've had people telling me 12 total stuffed takedowns, whatever. I mean, regardless, he had a goose egg. 3-time NCAA champ, 4-time finalist. Didn't take me down at all. I took him down twice. You know, but that was more just an ego thing, just going out there to prove everybody that no matter what credentials somebody has, I'm going to go out there and beat them.
Don't believe the hype.
Come on.
You got to make them earn it. And just going to give it to you because you did something 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Nothing free around here.
I'm from the show me state.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
No doubt.
If you think you could beat me in something, you're going to have to show me. True. And it ain't true until you show me. And that's what I went out there and did, you know. Like you said, I'm stubborn. I went out there, and I took him down twice just to prove that I was a better wrestler.
We were sitting in the parking lot, me and Perm, that day in Seattle, and I'm getting amped up, and I'm like, man, let me really see what this cat's about. I didn't really look at all his fights and all that, so I start watching Romero's fights and stuff like that, and I'm like, as I'm watching it, I'm talking Perm through it. I watched a couple, and I'm like, I'm like, he gonna tear him up on his feet, Perm. He gonna beat him up on his feet. And then he definitely gonna want to take him down. I started explaining. I told Perm exactly what you was gonna do. But I'll tell you this: what I wasn't prepared for, bro. You look so crisp, brother. I mean, I've been watching you fight now for a long time and training with you for a long time, brother. I've just seen what an improvement. Oh yeah. What an improvement from what was already really good. Yeah, and what's crazy is anybody that just knows the game a little bit can tell, dude, it's scary, because to me you still look so not raw, like you look so crisp and so good right now, but you could just tell you still have so much room that you can grow. Some people, it's like, man, they're doing great, but I could tell they're like maxed out with their potential. Right. I know when I'm watching, like, dog, you know, and I expected what you did, but not in the way that you did it. Ooh. But the whole time as we text back and forth, man, I'm like, I just knew you had it coming to you, man, because the way that you work, man, the way that you work, because that's what I represent. That's what I like pride myself on. I don't know how to do nothing else but work. And I've grinded, my way from the bottom, so I just love when somebody really puts in the work, especially when they got the gift and they match those two things up, and it's rare, dude. And I'm watching you do it with discipline that cats don't have. Like, other level, I'm a disciplined cat, bro. I know one when I see one. Like, dude, your discipline is shit, bro. what was the training like? How would you describe the training leading up to the fight and all of that stuff?
You know, so this camp was different in the aspect that, I mean, in my last few fights, you see me pull out some new tools and stuff like the spinning wheel kicks and, you know, throwing the head kicks and stuff like this. This camp, my striking coach, Anderson Franca, was telling me, you know, if you're going to throw any of that, if you're going to throw the flying knees, any of that stuff that you like doing, wait until the end of the round. So in case he gets the takedown, it doesn't really count
You ain't
for
stuck
much,
under
you
there
know?
for a minute.
Yeah. And, but I mean, mostly the game plan was just really low leg kicks, you know, to the calf, nothing to the quad. Because if you watch his fights, he was reaching for those quads. He grabs them, throws a punch at the same time, takes you down. So we were working very low kicks, not really throwing to the head or to the body much. You know, when the opportunity presented itself and he wasn't expecting it, we would do it. But also, you know, not getting overextended or be too aggressive with my striking. So I felt like you said, I was piecing them up. I looked crisp and everything, but there was a lot of things that I wasn't doing during the fight because of the style I was fighting. Which
fighting smart.
Yeah. So in the preparation for this camp, it was a lot of straight punches, a lot of like following the two up with an uppercut after, or throwing a hook to the body and stuff like that. And I mean, you see me doing it throughout the whole entire fight, but you know, I had to be reserved in some aspects because I know the shot's coming. Right. I can't throw a 5-6 punch combination.
Did you plan the Superman punch, dog?
Oh,
did you rep that a lot?
No,
or that just came out of nowhere?
I love that.
Like, at what point did it click in your head? Like, all right, let's do this shit right now.
All right, so I mean, not to my own horn, but I don't do it much. Like, it's not something that I practice a lot. But I'm explosive, and like, I do it at practice sometimes in training. I've done it in my fights. I cover a lot of distance very quickly. I mean, a lot of people like always talking about like how muscle bound and stuff I am, and for like how big I am and how much muscle I carry, I move very well and I move very quickly, and people don't expect it. And I cover a lot of distance well, and I'm explosive. I explode into that, and they don't see it coming. Really, it gets there faster than they can react, and that's exactly what happened during the fight. I'd love to say that I like the George Masvidal knee where you see the videos beforehand and him going and running off the cage and practicing it before he knocked out Ben Askren. I'd love to say that I was doing the same thing, but, you know, I wasn't. You know, it's something that I like doing, but I don't practice it much.
You felt it.
You know
just
what I mean?
felt it in
yeah,
the moment.
It was there.
Like,
He was like, I landed a double hook right hand. He was backing out away from me. Instead of cutting him off, I was like, he's expecting me to cut him off now like I usually do. He's a little far away, but I know if I can do the Superman punch, and obviously this is all going through my head in a split second. You know, so I'm analyzing this as quick as possible, and I just seen the opportunity. I was going to do it earlier in the fight, but I'm thinking the same thing with the flying knees and the head kicks. If I'm off my feet, he could easily just duck down, and if he gets a hold of my hips, take me. I mean, he's a very good wrestler. If he's in deep, I mean, it's going to be hard to stop.
No
so
doubt.
I didn't do it much during the fight. I only did it once, honestly, but I was waiting for the perfect moment, and that was it.
Come on.
Beautiful.
So
Gotta ask you, so when you're fighting and doing this, what gets you going, bro? Like what gets you into that mindset to get on that in that cage and do what you do? Like what gets you going?
I can't say there's something specific that gets me going. You know, I love doing this. I really do.
You play music? Did you get you amped up?
I
like
mean,
the prep for the day.
Like
what
the day.
that day? What's
to get in there? When
before
you're going
you didn't go on till probably
7:15 maybe
or so.
So you're asking
all day.
me what
what's
I did on
what's the prep?
like fight day? Like,
what's your prep? How do you get what do you like when you're going in? What do you do? Like,
okay,
before you go in?
so this time, because like the hotel I was staying in wasn't that nice, didn't really have all the hotel amenities, and there wasn't a smart TV in my room. I had Wi-Fi, but the Wi-Fi wasn't good, so I couldn't like watch the stuff on the streaming services that I usually do. I like watching like 300, the movie 300, Troy, like those war movies. You know what I mean? That get me into that mindset. The quotes in those movies, along with all like the violence and the fighting and everything, really get me like tuned in, you know, zoned in. Unfortunately, I didn't get to do that this time. I was watching South Park in the room because that's all that was on. So I told you guys that at dinner. So and the fight ended the way it did. So maybe I'll start watching South Park from here on out. You know what I mean? Besides that, though, when we got to the fight show, I showed up in my David Allen suit. You know, showed up meaning business. Got there, immediately took my speaker, my Bluetooth speaker, threw on some music. I got a little playlist made up with some DMX, some Tupac, some ASAP Ferg, Eminem, like a lot of those guys that have like the hardcore, like rough, hype music, and just blast that as loud as I can, start stretching out, get my hands wrapped, playing it while I'm getting my hands wrapped, just really starting to focus and dial in. And I feel like the closer I get to the fight, I'm starting to like unchain, like at practice and training all through camp, there's a lot of stuff you can't do. You can't knee your training partner in the face. You can't elbow him. Like I elbowed Romero Cotton a few times when we were against the cage. I can't elbow my training partner and hurt him and knock him out. Right. Like I can't do this stuff purposely. I'm reserved. I'm restricted to certain things, and all fight week long, it's like I'm being like held teased. Being held back because like the fights this week, I'm ready to fight now, but they're making me wait till Friday. Right. So the closer I get to fight, I feel like I'm in shackles and they're taking the shackles off. They're taking the chains, and the closer I get to the fight, the more confident I get. A lot of people talk about nerves, and then there's a lot of people out there that say if there's fighters out there that say they don't get nervous, that they're lying. Well, I'm here to tell you that they're lying, because I don't get nervous. Like come fight time, there might be some nerves in fight week, but like I said, the closer I get to the fight, the nerves just disappear and I go like cold. Like no emotions, just confidence. And like I'm ready to get in there. And I stared across the cage at Romero Cotton whenever I was in the cage, and he was not looking at me. He would not make eye contact with me. I knew right away I was going to finish him. I knew he didn't want to be there with me. He was scared. He felt my presence. He felt my aura. He didn't want to be there. I was in his head all week. And
hilarious, dude. The one of the best parts for me was after the finish, Perm's explanation of it as we're sitting there playing it back. So why don't you give me that off the cuff? Off the cuff, brother.
Which one?
If you were, let's say you were the announcer. Let's say you was watching it and you were the commentator. Commentate what happened, what's going through Romero Cotton's head as this is going on.
He got beat. He was like, he was on the wall. Wait a minute, what's going down here? Mr. Hercules coming back. You were just chilling, bro. You were just the flying punch, bro. I was waiting for that the whole time, because I love when you do that, bro. I told him, I said, finally you did it, but you knocked him down like super fast, bro. Now in the corner, the dude was lost, bro. He was like, you stood up over him, and what did you say to him?
Right, like after the fact? After I knocked him out?
Yeah.
I didn't say anything. I just stood over him and I just screamed, woo. Like,
woo!
Yeah, like I got pushed out of the way by Jason Herzog, and I mean,
I seen that.
Yeah, he pushed me pretty hard. He apologized to me after, but I'm like, man, you're doing your job. And I was just super excited. That was that was an awesome moment.
Awesome finish, man. You've been, I think the good thing is you know how smart you fight, but I think, I don't know if it just was happenstance or the moment, or you starting to realize the moment to go in for the kill, because I think other fights you fought smart and you probably had an opening. You could look back like, I could have finished him right there, but I was playing smart because you don't want to take an L. You know what I mean?
Several times
over something
I've
stupid.
had that.
Right.
But I watched you like just go for the throat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like perfect time, and like, all right, go. This is when I gotta go. This one I gotta go for the throat, man.
Yeah, and several of my last fights I did that, where I'll look back on the fight and I'm like, man. Like against Dwayne Johnson, I hurt him twice. One, he spun around and fell against the cage. The other one, he was on wobbly legs. And I'm like looking back on the fight, and I'm like, man, instead of talking shit, I should have been knocking this cat out. You know what I mean? But there was a couple times in this fight too where like I had him hurt and I hit him with some clean shots, and I probably could have followed up with it. But at the same time, he's a very good wrestler, so I didn't want to get carried away and taken down.
No doubt.
And then also, if I hit him a few more times with power and he doesn't go out, I'm using all my energy, all my
Speaking
gas
of talking
tank.
shit, I didn't even tell him about this one. While this is going down in between rounds, a couple of the cats behind me were talking shit, saying he's on roids. He's roided up. How's the roids? You know what I mean? First round, cool. Second round, I'm like, I had to say something. I turned around and started talking shit. So we were getting into it a little bit with the people behind us, me and Perm. And over, that's just how you built, bro. He's built yoked up like that. You know what I mean? That's just how he is. And I'll tell you, when it comes from a strength and conditioning standpoint, on your end, what do you do strength and conditioning wise? I know a lot of it is just work in general and genetics. I looked at the baby pictures. You got 6-year-old gun. You're 6 years old. You have big old biceps. But what are you doing in the strength and conditioning regimen, right now, Any sport specific stuff that you're doing in there that you think translates over into the game that you're in?
So when I do strength conditioning now, I just started lifting again 8 months ago. You know, I took the longest time off of lifting. I wasn't lifting besides during the pandemic when me and you were like going at it. Yeah, that was fun. But besides that, like I didn't lift for like 5 years. You know, I had to lose muscle mass. I was too
won
big. I
too,
was too
by the
muscle
way,
bound.
Dalton.
You did not win.
I did win.
You
I
did
got
not win.
witness.
He said he won.
Your cousin. I'm bringing your cousin in here. He was in there.
We were doing a bicep, like we were doing the concentration curls. Yeah. And we were having a little contest who can get more reps with, I don't know how much what we were doing. Was it 50-pound dumbbell, 40
Yeah, we
pounds,
worked our
something
way
like that.
up.
Yeah, we kept going up in weight, and then we kept going up in reps. Like, you know, they were burning after like 25, and then somehow in the next set we were getting 35, then 45, then 50, and it was like it got to the point where it was like pointless. We're like, all right, we just got to
We ain't gonna stop. We ain't gonna stop. We was up to like 60. We like, all right, we've been here for an hour doing this, and then always competing and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as strength conditioning for MMA, it's mostly calm-bound exercises, and I'll do 3 to 4 sets of each. So I'll divide them into a push day and a pull day. So I only do 2 days a week, and that way it doesn't take away from my training, like my jiu-jitsu, my wrestling, my boxing. Like my shoulders are sore, my boxing is gonna suffer. Right. My legs are sore, the wrestling is gonna suffer. My lower back sore, my jiu-jitsu is gonna suffer. I mean, there's a point where I need to be working out hard enough that I'm going to be feeling it, where I'm going to be sore. You know, you need to push yourself, but at the same time, it can't be high volume to where it's a detriment to what you're actually there to do. Right. This is supposed to be supplemental to my game, you know? So I'll do a push day. On the push day, I'll do like bench press or incline bench press. I'll do 5 sets of 3, and I'll do cycles of like 5 sets of 5, and then I take 3 to 5 minutes of break, and I do this strictly for power. There's nothing else for it. I'm not doing endurance. I get all my endurance stuff work from wrestling and jiu-jitsu and everything else. So
you don't think you need to do a bunch of high reps? And
no, so now
that's what I would think it would be.
Yeah, everything I do now is for power, explosion and power. You know, developing the fast twitch, trying to develop more power in my punches, more speed, everything. So I'll do the bench press or the incline for like to cover up the chest and shoulder-ish area for the push day. Then after that, I'll do some military press or some dumbbell shoulder press. And same thing, 3 sets of 5 or 5 sets of 3. They're interchangeable, change back and forth. I go through cycles of it. Same thing, 3 to 5 minutes of rest. And then after that,
so a lot of rest in between.
Yes. And then make sure you fully recover so you're getting everything you can out of the actual set itself. And then after that, I'll do like an accessory exercise that helps with those, like to keep your elbows and everything. If you're going, especially if you're going very heavy, keep your elbows, healthy. Like a tricep push down with the ropes. Only 3 to 4 sets of that. I'll do high reps on that, though. Maybe some dips, and then I'll do squats on the push day too. You're pushing weight on squats. So on the pull day, I'll do pull-ups with weight, throw like a chain around my waist, 2 45-pound plates, and then like if there's a weighted vest, I'll throw that around my back too. Try to get as much as weight on as I can, and I do 5 to 6 reps on that. I usually never change that because I feel like doing 3 reps isn't enough for an exercise like that.
So no sport specific stuff other than this strength training stuff.
Yeah, I like sometimes I substitute like punch stuff for punch pound. Like we have a 360 machine in there, has levers on it for like pushing and pulling. Like
if
for
you
punching.
had to pick something that would resemble the best type of training, for sport specific stuff, what would you pick? Like, not that if you were even on the regimen you're doing, I understand what you're saying clearly of why you're doing what you're doing and all of that. But let's say somebody's not training as much. They're training a couple of days a week and they want some workout that's going to help them on or off the mats. What do you think translates the best or the most?
So if we're getting into strictly sport specific, take all the powerlifting, compound movements out of it. I think a good thing to do, like for example, like those cable machines, like that you would connect a rope pull down on, to connect like a cable that you can wrap around like a medicine ball maybe, and you hold the medicine ball your chest like this as hard as you can, and maybe like I don't know how much weight you would put on it, would be dependent on what you can do, but you want it to be a smooth movement. You don't want it to be jerky, or you don't want it to be too heavy where you're developing more strength than you are power. And while you're squeezing this ball, you're turning your hips. If you're trying to work on your right hand, you turn the other way, you get in a stance like you're throwing a hook. Same thing with the hook. You could throw a ball against the wall, heavy medicine ball against the wall. There's landmine presses where the landmine, it's like the joint on the ground where you put the bar into. Yep. I would start, I like starting with the bar in my hand like this, like I'm bent over doing a row, pull it up like I'm doing a row, and then switch hands. And as I'm switching hands, do a press and turn my hip like I'm throwing a right hand. And then on top of that, for like grappling and stuff, you can do stuff with like, heavy bags or dummy bags or stuff like that, connecting them to cables, doing some squeezing exercises, stuff like that. But mostly for wrestling, it's going to be mostly pull exercises that are going to help you most, like the pull-ups I'm describing, deadlifts, and bend over rows, stuff like that. And that's usually what I do on my pull days. But sports specific, like those exercises are
You do anything for injury prevention?
Yeah. So I'm pretty big into that now because I was always getting injured wrestling in high school, wrestling in college. I got injured often. It was always because I pushed myself too hard and didn't listen to my body whenever it needed
I think that's
rest.
what I've been doing.
Yeah.
That and the balance of I'm getting old.
No, bro, you push yourself. Your mentality is always like
Go.
Yeah, go. No matter what. Like you're a worker, so you and that's the same way I was. But I realized over time, like especially now that I'm a pro athlete and this is all that I'm doing, is I gotta take care of my body and I gotta listen. But if you have a tweak in your shoulder, you'll just push through it. You'll do something else that maybe not focus on that shoulder, but inadvertently,
it's hurting.
Like it might be a secondary muscle to the movement you're doing, and you're still putting strain on it. You know what I mean? But I do cryotherapy. I try to get a massage done once a week or once every other week, especially in camp. I'll do once a week. But I get cryotherapy done, ice baths. We have ice plunge at the gym. I do sauna, infrared sauna. I have a hypervolt gun that I usually hit on myself. I get cupping done.
You get to work.
How many rest days?
2. So I'll do a midweek one, Wednesday and Sunday.
Nothing at all?
So usually on Wednesday I'll do some active recovery.
Like yoga? Or is that too much?
I don't do yoga, but yoga would be good for an active recovery.
Okay.
It's something that like keeps your heart rate, get your heart rate up, so you're getting blood flow to your muscles to help you recover, but not up where it's taxing your heart. So I might go for a walk. I might go for a like short bike ride, stuff like that. Just get moving.
Just get you going.
Yeah, but Wednesday and Sunday. The reason the Wednesday is because we spar on Thursday, and Mondays are usually very hard. It's our wrestling day, 2-hour practice in the morning. Then I have 2 practices at night. Kickboxing 5:30 to 6:30, then 6:30 to 7:30 MMA drills. Tuesdays I have a 3 a day again. You have sparring.
So that's why you got Wednesday off. That's perfect.
Right. You have
3
sparring
days is a lot.
Yeah, you have sparring in the morning on Tuesday. Tuesday night, jiu-jitsu 5 to 6, then 6:30 to like 8. I do strength conditioning. Wednesday off. Thursday's the same exact as Tuesday. Sometimes instead of lifting, I'll do a MMA drilling class again, the same one I do on Monday. And then Friday's a relatively easier day. We only have 1 mandatory practice, but I usually try to get pads or a private.
Right.
Sounds like a lot of work.
A lot of work.
What sacrifices would you say that you've made? You've probably now, we both played football, so growing up, played around. Like I played with I feel like some of the best athletes in the country that no one ever found out about.
Right.
they didn't even finish high school.
That everybody knows about.
Some
like
that
LeBron
everybody
James.
knows about. Yep, LeBron. Played against LeBron in high school. It was our first game my senior year. We played him at Youngstown State. He was a sophomore, all state wideout. We got the dub. Played against and with Maurice. Claret, another world class athlete. But I got a bunch of names on the list that probably could have been just like them cats that never came to because of certain sacrifices and decisions that they weren't willing to make. Now you've probably seen similar thing in the fight game. You've probably seen some people that were super talented that you're like, man, if this cat would just do this or not do that, probably had a lot of potential to be something. And I don't want to speak for you, but I don't know, have you but what sacrifices have you made that maybe others don't make, or what things do you think that you do when people look at you and think, oh, he just
got it like
somehow got, lucky, always been good, whatever. He's just, popped up that way. What things do people not see that you got to do that most people ain't willing to do?
There's a lot, man. I mean, most of the time, most MMA fighters, and this is what a lot of sports, people are just training once a day.
Right.
They don't do 2 or 3 times. Most of them don't even do 2. But people aren't doing 3s, Only the world champions and potential world champions are. I mean, there's several guys at the gym that do 2 or 3 days. I shouldn't say several. There's a few. But there's some workers there, and then there's guys that you could tell that are there just off raw talent, or maybe they worked hard previously and are no longer working hard. They're kind of just, there and go through the motions. They're like, all right, I made it. I'm cool with where I'm at, and I'm just going to stay in shape, On top of that, my diet, whenever people are out eating all the time during like fight camp and eating whatever they want, and anytime they crave something, I'm sticking to my diet because I noticed that it's, it's made a difference in my training, with my cardio, the way I feel, everything. It helps with my sleep. On top of that, my sleep schedule, being very dedicated to my sleep schedule. Your circadian rhythm matters. Time you go to sleep, time you wake up, getting 8 to 9 hours sleep, sometimes more, because the more strain you accumulate on your body, the more rest you need, and there's people out there that are only doing 5-6 hours of sleep. And a lot of time you hear that they're proud of it. They'll be talking about like, oh, I'm good on 5 hours, 6 hours sleep. That's perfect for me. I don't need any more than that. I feel great, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you think you do. You're used to it now. Your body's used to it, but you're not functioning. Yeah, you're not recovering or functioning at the level that you could be. Your reaction time might be off. You don't think it is just because you're used to it. On top of that, I don't drink, don't smoke, never have, never did either. And there's a lot of professional athletes, not just fighting, that they're making all this money. First thing they want to do is go party. Yeah, I don't go out on the weekends. I don't go to bars, nothing. I'm in at 11 p.m. about to go to sleep if I'm not watching fights on the weekends, and I'm not watching.
So there's one big, he's mid-20s.
Yep.
And girl don't live with you right now. Mm-hmm. Gina moved to Orlando. Shout out to Gina. WWE. Gina? Got the shout out.
Come on.
Over there, got to move and pursue that. That's super cool to watch, man.
Love it.
Talk about a power couple. That's cool. If y'all had a baby, the baby would come out with quads like this. Both of them got some big old quads, nice built quads.
I was saying I could see your calves from the front. How big your calves was.
Perm was like, we were looking at the
weigh-ins.
Big. Perm's like, man, I could see his calves from the front.
How big he is.
Big ass legs.
I think you sent me that already, or you texted me the group message or something.
I started recording him.
Yeah.
When he gets started, man. That's how this whole Starbucks thing came along. Is I'm like, man, I'm gonna just record you because that's what he be doing all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just
capture it.
Somebody else got to see this and enjoy this with me. But I think most people mid-20s, living by yourself,
looking good,
6, average, a little bit above average. You know what I mean? Looks
right.
Would be wilding out,
all
would
the
be
way
partying,
out,
staying out, weekends,
By himself?
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you going to bed,
11.
waking up early to train.
Come on.
Not getting too crazy, not getting too wild. Those are some sacrifices.
That's huge.
How about moving from your family and friends?
Yeah, I didn't even think about that
to a gym in Florida.
Yeah.
On a whim, with no guarantee, no nothing. After your fight, I sent the email, when we were talking through it with the guy, and the guy's like, Dalton better not be a sissy. You know what I mean? That ain't the word he used.
Right,
you know what I mean? And I'm like, nah, he ain't. You know what I mean? I promise you that. And people were telling me, going down there, man, you got to watch because you'll get thrown to the wolves. There's a lot of fighters down there. They don't pay everybody attention, or whatever. And just no fear, just picks up and boom, moves. And at first, you started out staying in the dorms there. Mm-hmm. I remember. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And had the lunchroom, you know what I mean, and all of that stuff. And so not many people are willing to do those types of things to pursue their dream. Yeah, that's one of those when people say it must be nice or you're lucky or they start like, man, you didn't see when I had to move from here to here and didn't have a brand new whip,
Right.
didn't have, you know, a bunch of people, you know, I just left everybody, had no friends down here, no family down here. This is what I'm about to do, you know, and stuff like that. Those are some sacrifices people don't see.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't think about that. I wasn't thinking in sacrifices in that term. I mean, moving across the country when you don't know anybody, that's one. On top of that, you want to talk about like all the stuff I did in college, like when I'm going to college full time and working security on the weekends, working during the week, still maintaining above a 3.5 GPA, ended up graduating with 3.7 or 3.8, and doing all this, working just enough just to get by on my bills, a lot of the time overdrafting on my account and everything. We've talked about this before.
Going to school. Working
and training 2 to 3 times a day, and the main focus was the training. And everybody was telling me I was crazy, you know, because I ended up graduating with a degree. I was working at Northwestern Mutual for a little bit, left the job because I got my professional contract. That, you know, I was sacrificing a lot financially too, where I couldn't have been I didn't have to drive around all these gyms and use all this gas money, and I could have been working more and just focusing on school and work, you know, and still been going on vacations with all my friends in college and enjoying time on the weekends and doing whatever and going hang out with girls and all this other stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of sacrifices on top of the physical ones that I did to help my performance. I mean, financially and like time wise, and, you know, giving time to friends and family and everything. It's like I sacrificed a lot. You've seen the truck I was driving, the SUV, the Trailblazer.
Oh yeah, I love that Trailblazer.
Yeah, I didn't.
It's when you were humble.
Yeah. Bro, I was
you were nice.
That's when you knew my birthday.
He got a new car, Perm. I told you, he got the new car. Everything turned for the worse for me.
Right.
Oh, that's when all
You
the
gotta
short
call me
jokes
on
came out.
Call me only
Look.
on Tuesdays.
No, I can't see you. Like, oh, you could see me when you was in that rusty Trailblazer, though. No.
But yeah, man, I wasn't thinking about sacrifices in that way, but I made plenty. You know, those are probably the bigger ones, of course. You know,
How many people told you were crazy, stupid to be pursuing a fight
everybody,
career?
everybody.
Why would you do that?
Everybody, and I don't want to be petty or anything. I'm not gonna throw out names,
Right.
but even family members were telling me. And the crazy thing is, they all send you the text now. They all tell you in person now. They always believed in you. They're always your biggest fan. All this other stuff. But I still remember a lot of the things that were said for me to me, word for word, where I was at, where they said them. And
Me too,
it
bro.
wasn't. I wasn't.
Me too.
You know, I wasn't
Those
keeping
words.
it.
Those are the ones that you carry
Right, that fired you
Yeah.
up.
to
Right.
take you to the next
Yeah,
level.
right.
it wasn't, and it's not that I'm keeping a tab on them. It's just that you remember those moments.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's not like, and I always say this, like I don't use external factors for motivation. What people say doesn't affect me
Either way.
bad or good, because if it does, if I use that for motivation, external factors for motivation, I'm insinuating that what people say has an effect on whether I'm going to achieve my goal or not.
Come on.
You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I don't let it affect me whether it's good or bad. You know, and so I don't use that as motivation. My motivation comes from within. I already have my goals and everything set in place, and those are my motivation. At the end of the day, what people say about me, whether they believe in me or not, is not going to change how hard I'm working and what I'm doing to achieve my goal.
How much of the confidence that you feel like you have leading up to the fight, walking into the fight, stems from the amount of work that you know you put in and the sacrifices that you make?
All of it. All of the confidence.
Is that
from
where it comes from?
Yeah. I mean, I know my potential at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, it's just potential.
Right.
You know, so potential can only get you so far.
Right.
Skill can only get you so far. But at the end of the day, whenever you have the skill and then you have the potential and then you have the work ethic on top of that, you know at the end of the day that if you lose or something goes wrong or shit hits the fan, you encounter some adversity during the fight and you have to fight through it, that it wasn't because of your work ethic. You know damn well you put everything that you possibly could put into your camp, into like your practices, into your technique, into the sport. And all the way from, like I said, from sleep, diet, training, recovery, everything. I do everything right, so I know at the end of the day, shit goes wrong. It's not because of that. I gave myself every opportunity possible to be successful, and you're not guaranteed success from that at all. But
no
if you
way
don't
you
do
can
it,
walk
you're
with
gonna
that type of confidence if you 20% of that you ain't doing.
That's right.
And you know you're only 80% of what you
That's
could be
right.
putting in. There's no way you walk with the same confidence.
Yeah, there's a great saying like that doesn't, all that work doesn't guarantee you success.
No doubt.
But if without that work, you're guaranteed failure.
Correct.
Speaking of failure, what can you think of something that you failed at in life, or a moment where you failed at something and what you got out of it, what you learned from it?
I mean, I fail all the time. Like everything, I've never just done something, you know, and been great at it from the very start. Especially with wrestling. Wrestling's, I mean, it's a big part of what I do with fighting. You know, even if I don't use it during my fight, it helps with, you know, all my training, the work ethic and everything that I gained from wrestling, the insight that I gained from drilling and everything, and actually putting the time in and how it affects your growth and your potential and your skill and talent and everything else at the end of the day. I carried that with me to other sports. But wrestling, you know, whenever I first started wrestling, I started wrestling at 6 or 7 years old, and I remember I lost to a girl, and dead serious. I lost to a girl. I was winning the match. I still remember it like it was yesterday, and this girl was fighting dirty. And the thing is, I remember her dad being on the sideline telling her to fight dirty. I could hear him. She was like pinching my balls and shit. Like I'm a little boy, you know what I mean? And she's, I'm being that serious. I'm a little boy, and this girl, I don't know, she might be a little bit older than me, but I'm like, she's really fighting this dirty at this young ass age.
Dirty, learning.
Yeah, like thinking back on it now, I probably wasn't thinking it at that time, but yeah. So she was fighting dirty. I ended up like losing the match by a point or two, and then I was just so embarrassed and so humiliated from losing to a girl that I stopped wrestling.
Oh wow!
And you know, over time, the urge to wrestle and compete in combat sports like jiu-jitsu and boxing and everything came back. So I started wrestling again, you know. And whenever I started wrestling again, I was out of it for so long. I wasn't good when I started back. And after training all year long, when most wrestlers are just training during wrestling season, I was going to 2 wrestling camps a year, training after, staying after practice, doing extra, training in the off season, going to different schools, wrestling with better people than me. And I got better, you know what I mean? But I still, even after getting better and seeing all the growth and the progress that I was making, I was still losing matches, you know what I mean? So I didn't win my first tournament until my junior year. That was my first gold medal ever. So you figure from the age of 6 or 7 all the way up until 16 years old, how many times did I fail over and over again before I won that first gold medal? You know what I mean? And then after that, I was like, just gold medal, gold medal, gold medal. It's like I was getting gold medals every single time that I stepped on the mat. You know what I mean? And I think my junior and senior year combined, I had 10 gold medals. Ended up getting hurt both seasons and not being able to compete. And that was part of what we were talking about earlier, where I pushed myself too hard, and that's something I learned since then. But
so what did you learn from that failure the whole way that you carry with you today? Just how to digest it, how to not let it discourage you?
No, I would
what
say
mental battles?
I would just say at the end of the day, that is just staying consistent and, you know,
in the process.
Yeah, and just continue
regardless
to work,
of the result.
Right.
Yeah, continue working on your craft. If you truly love something, you truly want to be the best at it, you're gonna fail. You know what I mean? You're not gonna be the best. You're gonna have to work through that. You're gonna lose, but you have to learn to deal with loss, and you have to get better. And one thing that you do whether you win or you lose, you know, you should be learning in both. But when you lose, at least you learn one way not to win.
Correct. I got you.
You take that feedback, if you would call it that, from each match and use it to become better. And eventually you become successful.
Mr. Dalton Hercules Rosta, where did you get Hercules from? Where's that middle name coming from?
So it actually from Youngstown. I was training at Larry Filer's gym in downtown Youngstown, downtown boxing club. And Ron, I don't know if you know Ron. Ron's an older guy down there. He used to spar with Muhammad Ali, old sparring partner from Muhammad Ali's. And first day I was down there, I remember I was hitting mitts, cracking mitts with Sam Calderon. And it was just me and Sam in the ring. Everybody was doing their own thing and hitting the bag, you know. Not really any schedule or like organization to the practice. So people were on different bags, just doing whatever, you know. A lot of them like weren't even really working out. They were bullshitting.
You and the bro. You and Youngstown.
It's not organized.
Have Perm tell you what they found in the thing. Are we allowed to tell them what you found out yet?
We found
off the mic, or can we tell them?
We know.
I think
I'm from Youngstown.
Yeah,
from Youngstown. I mean, everybody knows Youngstown.
But we got to find out about Hercules first.
Yes, Hercules.
And then you got to tell this story.
Okay,
2 stories from Perm today.
Go ahead.
Okay.
For you.
I'll make this quick then. So I hit a round of mitts, you know, and I'm cracking the mitts. I hit pretty hard, but these for some reason today it sounds like fireworks. And everybody, next thing you know, at the end of the round, beginning of the next round, look around the ring. Nobody's working out anymore. Everybody's just surrounding the ring. You know what I mean? Like it's an actual boxing match. And we start hitting the mitts some more, and like people are starting to make comments during the round whenever I'm hitting mitts about how hard I'm hitting, and people are saying like, "Oh, those are the hits that give you the wobbly legs," and like just saying stupid, comments here and there.
Right, just get to you.
And then Ron, Muhammad Ali's old sparring partner, I don't know his last name, but we used to bullshit all the time. He was a great dude, funny to be around. He started calling. He's like, "That's Herc. We're gonna call him Herc. He's built like Hercules and he hits like Hercules. We're gonna start calling him Herc." And from that day forward, it stuck. Everybody started calling me Herc, and I was kind of like taking it as a joke at first. But like people, like they wouldn't call me Dalton. There's people down there that didn't even really know my name. They were just calling me Herc.
So Herc.
Yeah. So that's how I got it. That's how it stuck. It wasn't one of those stories where I gave myself my own nickname. You see a lot of MMA fighters do that shit all the time, and that's just corny as hell. But it worked out, and it helps that I have the physique that I do.
Definitely do.
And
cut up, brother.
And I'm huge in the Greek and Roman mythology.
You borrow that body for an hour. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
If I could let you borrow it, I would.
Yeah.
You probably get yourself in trouble.
What would you do if you had that body?
No shirt.
For 1
never.
hour. What would
no
you do?
shirt. I'll be right in your areas, just walking everywhere. No shirt, nothing. Just walking around. What's going on? How you doing? All right. Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
All
Crazy.
this shit, you experience so much
I
shit.
do. If I
all
could
the
record
time.
my life,
All the time.
If I had somebody recording my
So
life,
today-
You guys need somebody following you, motherfucker. I'm
Right,
sorry.
what?
You need somebody following you guys around.
yeah, man.
Yeah,
we got
listeners
you.
coming
So-
to Chicago with us to
Yeah,
follow us around.
Come on, yes,
Something
yes.
good will happen.
Yes. So
Tell 'em
today,
today. Tell them what they tried to do to me today. Josh, listen to this.
They try to get him out, man. He just got his new car. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the new car, the Phantom. So we just pulled up. Back then, everything cool.
Today.
I was showing Katie something. So we went outside and go look at the car. Well, as I go outside and look at the car, there's a Frisbee and a cherry sitting on top of the car. Well, the Frisbee, they threw it, and a cherry was on the car. Who has a cherry? So we're
They
looking
put
around.
a cherry on the Rolls Royce. Somebody put a cherry on it.
On the roof. On the hood. So Katie's looking at the cameras. We found these little kids next door threw a Frisbee at his car and the church. So me and Katie was like, let's go. So we walked over there next. I got a little aggressive. Sorry. So we went over there, and I just wanted to talk to the kid. When we go inside, the kid's running. He ran. Oh, my God.
So him and Katie are coming, and the kid ran in the music school.
Gone.
Next door.
So we're trying to talk to the teachers and explain to them, what's going on. The car got hit. These kids came over there. We have them on tape and so forth. So we finally got the kid. We run into the kid. The kid's already bawling, starting to cry. Like, what's going on? We was like, well, did you? What was you threw a Frisbee and a cherry at this $500,000 car? Like, what made you do this? I was dared. He dared me. So his kid, he's playing his flute. So I walk in. I'm like, who is it? Him? He's still playing it like he ain't see me. I said, come here. You, come here. He gets out his chair. I'm like, so what's going on? You made him, you dared him to throw this thing at this guy's car? Yeah. Why did you do that? I asked him, I said, so there's consequences, right? You can go to jail for something like this, right? I said, well, you know what? I told the teachers to make sure that they tell their parents. And they started bawling, crying. Don't tell my parents. It's crazy, bro. In a second, we just pulled up. We worried about people 25 and older messing this car up.
Right.
We got 10-year-olds
coming after
trying
us.
to tear his car up.
You
Hilarious,
probably would
dude.
do the same shit when you were there.
Oh, brother.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I was just talking to Jimmy about? What I
Probably.
used to do when I was that age, Dalton? When it snowed, I would get snow,
And throw it at cars on the street.
and the cars would go down, and I would lead it, and it, bang, and hit it, and then people would get out and chase me. You know what I mean?
Me and my
Sometimes
friends
when I would
did
run-
the same shit in Newcastle. Same
real?
shit.
Yeah.
We would build a fort on Highland Avenue on like one of the main roads. We built a fort, hide behind it, back so far.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We were like 8 years old,
It was just
we
fun.
weren't.
It was
Yeah,
just
we weren't
fun.
thinking about financial
No.
stuff and like
Right.
how much these cars actually cost and
We in
everything.
2022.
I'm going to do it this
Yeah.
winter. I'm going to do it this winter with Perm.
Oh, we
and tape it.
We should, yeah.
Like, he still didn't learn his lesson. Speaking of lessons, any lessons what lesson have you learned right now, if any, that took you the longest to learn, over time, that you was like, man, I got this down now, but maybe 5 years ago I didn't, or 2 years ago I didn't. Anything that took you the longest to learn?
I would say it's probably what we were talking about with like running your body in the ground. Like you have a little injury and it's like, all right, I'm going to train through this. You know, I'm going to tough it out. A lot of the time it's not about like you're being a wimp or a sissy or anything like kids like or coaches whenever you're a kid like to call you.
Right.
You know, at the end of the day, it's like that minor injury, if you keep pushing through, it could turn into something major where if you only took like 2 or 3 days off, this is the way I look at it now. If you take 2 or 3 days off, that injury could be healed. But if you train through it, now that 2 or 3 days turns into 2 or 3 weeks, sometimes 2 or 3 months. And how many times that's happened to me from wrestling or football or whatever, it took me forever to learn my lesson from that because I was constantly getting surgeries on my knees. I've had 4 surgeries on my knees. I was out with rotator cuff injuries, missed several postseasons during wrestling. And it's like I was always beating my body into the ground, always thinking like I needed to do more. I needed to work harder. And yeah, you need to work harder, but you also need to be smart about it. You know, work as hard as you possibly can, exhaust everything in the tank while you're at practice, but recover when you're not there. And when your body needs a break, you know
when to listen.
Yeah, that's quality is better than quantity.
Yep.
Especially whenever it comes to sport like MMA. You want quality rounds. You're not just doing stuff to stay in shape and doing more work to stay in shape. Yeah, that's different, but you want to develop technique. You want to develop skill. So you need quality over quantity, and beating your body into the ground is not the way to go about that.
What about what common piece of advice that people give do you disagree with the most? You love disagreeing with common piece of advice. I tell him he could be an attorney. He'll argue with you, and he's smart too.
Yeah.
He's smarter than he looks. What piece of advice that people typically give do you disagree with?
There's a lot. It would take me a while to think of it. Nothing's really coming to mind right now except for something I mentioned earlier as well, where it's like people will say it's not a loss, it's a lesson. Well, I don't agree with that in the aspect that you should be learning a lesson in both when you're winning and when you're losing, in victory and defeat. There's a lesson in both, you know. If you're just, you know,
not that you learn more in your losses than you do in your victories.
Yeah, but a lot of time you can learn more in a victory than you can in a loss. I mean, it goes both ways. When people say that it's not a loss, it's a lesson, and they don't acknowledge that you should be learning in victory as well, or I disagree with that a lot, because a lot of time you really truly can learn a lot more in victory than you can in defeat. Right. And you know, if you encountered adversity in the victory, but you battled through it, you know, there's a lesson that you can learn. But if you lost the fight, you wouldn't have learned it. You know, you didn't actually battle through the adversity and come out on top. I disagree with that big time, because a lot of the time you hear that from losers.
Right.
You didn't. It wasn't a lesson. You just lost.
Right.
You know, there's a lesson in both. So just accept the fact that you lost, acknowledge it, work on whatever you need to work on at the end of the day, and become better. Don't try to make somebody else feel better by saying that, and don't tell that to yourself to make yourself feel better, because at the end of the day, you're only hindering yourself. So that's what I would say.
What do you think is the biggest myth about MMA fighters that people typically think or whatever that you would say is more of a myth than a legit thing?
In like what aspect?
So like I'll give you an example. So like I think most people would think that the bigger a person is, they're probably going to win the fight.
For sure.
I think that it depends on their skill level. So I think a 160-pound dude could beat a 200-pound dude if they're equal, if their skill sets aren't equal. Now, if they both have close, similar skill sets, then, you know, it's probably going to go to, that's why they have weight classes.
Right. He probably argues the shit out of this.
Oh, this would be, come on, give it to me. Come on, it took you how long now? 49 minutes to start busting my balls on my show. Go ahead, let it rip. Go ahead, give it to me.
No.
Go ahead.
No, 100% I agree with you. You know, and then on top of that, not only is the skill, but the smaller person's usually going to have the speed advantage. Right. And speed truly does kill. You know, if you're fast enough to outland somebody, even if they have more power than you, if they can't touch you, they can't knock you out. You know what I mean? If you're a better wrestler than they are, and you're smaller than them, but you're a better wrestler. Even if they're stronger than you, 9 times out of 10, the technique's going to overtake the strength, and you're going to be able to out wrestle them, out grapple them. If somebody's just a big, strong guy and they're going to try and tackle you, you know, somebody with a good jiu-jitsu background, you're a brown belt, you'd be able to choke them out right away with a guillotine. A lot of those guys aren't, you know, versed in grappling at all. You know, they're not going to protect their neck. I mean, there's several instances where like size really doesn't matter in a fight, and I think whenever it comes to MMA fighting, that's true, and whenever it comes to fighting in the street, you know, if you get in altercations, it's even more true. And I would say that's a very big myth, and I don't know what else I would say. I can't really think of other myths off the top of my head, but I would say that's a huge one, you know, because at the end of the day, people.
I got a myth for you. Now, Alyssa's smarter than me with stuff like this, so she's able to put it up there, and she knows how to get people to pick yes or no, and we get the votes and the percentages and all of that stuff.
You don't know how to do that?
No, I don't.
Seriously?
For sure. 100%. There's a lot of stuff I don't know how to do. I'm bad with technology and social media. Praise the Lord for Alyssa's help and guidance. Yeah. I can come up with the words. I can spit some motivation, I think. But there's a lot of, from when it comes to the execution of the technology and all that, that's St. Angelo over here, Alyssa, Josh. I got people. You know what I mean? I'm not even a good driver. I can't drive. Why you think Perms helps me out there? I'd be wrecking everything.
It's crazy. But here's, you get a $500,000 car just to not drive it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna sit in it.
Yep, for me and Perm to roll in it, dog. And here's a myth, I think. He always tells me that jean shorts are completely out right now. Jorts.
They are.
In or out. I know you.
Like
I know you. I know they're out for you. You think they're out for sure. Yeah. I'm not 100% sold on it. If you don't give me credit for nothing else, you could say through the whole process of them not being in, I have kept plugging away and keep rocking these things. But I want to know what the people think. I know what you think. You think they're out. Every time I put them on, he's clowning me. So I want to know
who wears jorts.
What do the people think? Just John Cena and me?
John Cena and you. And
Josh Frem wore some the other day too.
Okay, well Josh Frem needs to redo his wardrobe.
He can't wear the jorts.
No, Josh, if you're wearing this, you need to take those off. Period.
So we need to know. I need to know from the young people out there.
What you think?
What do y'all think? Probably be too hard to ask to separate them between who's giving the vote. Are you over 30 or under 30? You got to keep me somewhat young. You know what I'm saying? So under 30, I definitely want to hear what y'all think about the jorts. You got to tell me. And if you ain't wearing jorts, what are you wearing other than camo shorts? If it's hot outside, what you supposed to wear, brother?
5-inch inseam shorts. Lululemon.
Comfortable shorts.
Gymshark, Lululemon.
Workout shorts. But what if you going, like, we going to step out and go somewhere nice? I'm going to sit outside to eat dinner somewhere 75 degrees, 80 degrees. I don't want to be hot with pants.
I'd
and
rather
all that.
wear some khaki Dickies than a pair of
Dickies.
Yeah, I'd rather
Dickie
wear
shorts.
I'd rather
Dickie shorts with some Timbos.
I would rather wear a pair of khaki Dickie shorts than a pair of jorts. Personally. You know what I mean? But you got, like you said, you got camo shorts, cargos. You know, that's what I mean. I would stay away from jorts.
Okay. All right. Now, are you gonna admit that we raced downtown Cleveland
and you lost
by how much? If you say I lost, by how much? Now let's see if you're gonna be honest.
It was close.
How close?
I don't know. You were behind me.
No, now you lying. Don't. Now you lying. Look at you.
I don't know.
You lying. Look at me.
I'm not lying.
You know I wasn't behind you.
I heard your footsteps.
No, you heard my footsteps because they was ahead of you. I beat you in the race. He won't admit that one. He won't admit that one.
Until I started clowning him, you see that he was going to be fine with me saying that I won.
Right.
And saying that I was close. He was like, how close was it?
I never give you the credit.
How close was it, though? How close was it? And then I started clowning him. He's like, no, I beat you.
Just to show you how close it was. And you're how old are you?
I'm 26, but at the same time,
and a professional athlete. You running down the street with an insurance salesperson down here, foot for foot. You lucky I wasn't in my prime with you, dog.
I was wearing Air Maxes, these big ass blocky Air Maxes. Not warmed up, not stretched out, nothing.
Just went to war. Just went ready to go.
This is how we did it during COVID too. So we would go to the gym in Newcastle, which I loved. I love that gym.
Yeah, Southside Barbell.
I love that
Yeah.
place, dude. Like it's
felt good. It
made
felt
me
good to
feel
be
like
there.
home.
Right,
dude. Just
home.
a
You
little
right home, right.
dungeon gym,
Right.
small.
Right.
Look like the weight's been in there,
Yep.
you know, through
Minute.
like 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
And they never cleaned them.
Tad bit of rust. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying?
Right.
Something like that. Bathroom, if you're gonna use it, you got to pee outside the door.
That's
You know
it.
what I mean? Outside in
That's
the back
what
of
we
the
like.
grass. I mean,
That's
it was made me
Felt like
feel
home.
like home. I
It's
love
been
it.
like
So,
that since I was 12 years old too. Not a damn thing's changed. I don't think they got
home.
any new equipment in there. Nothing.
look like it. I love it. Old posters,
14
old
years.
posters,
Let's
probably
go.
30 years old.
Come on.
You know what I mean? Hanging up.
They had the Kelly Pavlik poster.
We
in
was
there,
losing
Chuck
it
Liddell.
during COVID. I was losing it. I'm like, we got to do
Gotta
something.
do something. I can't
he's
stay in the
like,
house all day.
I got a gym. I got a gym. I'm like, let's go. And I loved it. Started looking forward to the drive, the long
Wait,
drive.
Yeah.
But this is how we got started in there with the curls like this. He's so competitive, bro. Just like me.
Yeah, he
super
knew- y'all going
super
in it.
competitive, bro.
I love that.
That's how he blew my hamstring out in the mat room. We was arguing. You remember when you blew my hamstring out in there? You remember how that happened?
I remember you blowing your hamstring out, but I don't remember how it happened.
With you. So we were in there going at it. We talk shit.
Yeah,
I'm
of
like,
course.
2-70. You know what I mean? Taps. But I got 2, and I told him,
And they
listen,
were heel hooks.
when you win the world title, brother, just telling you right now, when you win the world title in public on the show, I want him to come in and say he did 1 or 2 times in his lifetime. He got me.
Yeah, he did.
Give me that.
He did.
All right.
Give it to him.
So
Give it
look,
to him.
so we was in there, and I try to, he likes to argue.
Yeah.
So I like to argue back with
That's
him.
right.
Just for the
You
hell of
just
it.
love arguing
I
too.
like arguing
Right.
back with
Yeah,
him. That's
yeah.
all. So we're in there. We going at it. Wrestling, jiu-jitsu, whatever, grappling, do what we do. And he talks shit. We talk shit back
right.
and forth to each other. So I'm like, all right, we're going to go this round, 5 minutes, whatever. I think we were like 2.5 minutes into the round. And in my head, I'm thinking like, I just want to last long enough so I could talk shit and piss him off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm like 2.5 minutes in. I'm like, all right, I got enough time, man. I can start talking some shit. So I'm like, look, you talking about you want to win the world title and you can't even, I'm in the insurance business. You ain't finished me yet. 2.5 minutes in, right? So you did like this. All right, come on. And I knew I was getting set up. I knew I was getting set up, brother. I knew it. But it was so, I wanted to, like
wanted
the way
it. You
I
had-
envisioned
right.
it happening
It wouldn't happen
is
like that.
okay. He thought he was going to set me up and I blew him through the wall. That's in my head. I'm thinking, I'm
all the
going
way.
to blast double him. Because he want to act like I couldn't do it, right? So I'm going to surprise him. He ain't going to think I'm going to do this, right? But I knew I was getting set up. So he's like, go ahead, I'll give you a free shot. And I took it, and he was ready.
He said,
He
the
threw
Uchimata, I remember
he threw
this.
the wizard in judo
Yeah, it's
toss
called an
across
Uchimata
the
or wizard
room,
kick.
And I tried to stay up instead of going
Yeah.
off balance, and I blew my shit out. I was done for a while. I was done for a while.
I remember this shit
tore
now.
my
I remember
hamstring
this shit
out.
now.
Yeah.
You were going to see Julie for a while.
Oh,
you,
yeah.
you
I
went
didn't
to
get
see
surgery,
Burnett.
though.
No.
Yeah.
She got me out of it. Yep, Julie and Burnett. That's how I started with Julie.
Uh-huh.
Is to
Because
come
of you.
back.
Yeah, I remember that now. I didn't remember it at first, but as he
Right,
started
right.
going through the
Started
story, it
yeah.
started coming back.
Yep. All right. So as we wrap it up, thanks for
sir.
coming again on another episode of
But
GRINDcast.
before we
Been
give
great
off-
to see the journey, dog, all the way up. All the way up, man. What go ahead.
We got to have this. I mean, we don't have many people come in like this, but if you would give us the grace of signing
We got the thing back here.
our poster with you.
Oh,
on.
nice.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you didn't
can
see
sign
that?
You didn't even see
Yeah.
that, bro?
to do this right now?
Yeah, man. Right. Yep. Wherever you want.
Anywhere
to,
you
bro.
want.
Wherever you want.
Don't matter.
Wherever you want. Wherever you want. Wherever you think it's gonna look good.
I mean, it's gonna be hard to shine it on the
Well,
black.
put it on your body. I mean, it's all big. Don't worry about it. Here you go. We got the first signature here with Dalton Rosta. Come on, Hercules. Hercules.
I remember, Perm. We had the
Dude.
we had the fundraiser down at Napa Prime
Yeah.
a couple years ago, and I don't know if you had any pro fights yet.
No, I did. 1 or 2 in Bellator. You had me sign that helmet.
Yeah. So I had a Steelers helmet
Come on.
with Ryan signed it, Shazier signed it, Tom Zach signed it, Super Bowl champ, bunch of champs on there.
On it.
And Dalton, he had 1 or 2 fights, pro
Come on.
fights. I'm like, sign it, Dalton. I'm like, sign the helmet because you're
Gonna
going
be
to win
big.
it.
That's
You're
right.
going to win it. We're going to
Come
put it
on.
on there. We're going to put it on there in advance. So we got that one, and we are 5 or 6 fights closer in that direction, bro.
Let's go.
Super proud of you, man, and
Sure.
what you've accomplished. We all been rooting for you and watching you, on your journey. And man, I feel like I've known it since I really started
Get up.
messing with you in the beginning, I could tell, you know, that you got it. You know what I mean? I don't go all in on MMA and jiu-jitsu the way that I would like to in another life. You know what I mean? If I did it over again, didn't have all this going on. Yeah. But I know the game enough. You know, when I'm training with somebody, I could tell if they got it. In the approach, the discipline. You know, I remember even during COVID, you know, you coming in not with 9-10 hours of sleep, just to be stubborn and not, because you knew if you no-showed me, I was going to give it to you till today. I'd still be giving it to you. He'd show up with 2 hours of sleep and work out at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, dude, those are the things right there though, bro. Those are the small things right there that furthermore pounded it in my head. If I was 99%, even though I'm like, you young, you doing, you know, whatever, I'm like, those are that discipline, that's a sicko discipline, that if you combine that with the skill set in the focus and the reason why you're a big driving motivator, you're one of the sources of your fire, you know, with having a big why, you know, I think with your dad, you know what I mean, and all of that stuff. When you put all that together, bro, there's just from day one, you know, I've known where this is gonna end up, and ain't nothing gonna stop you. Nope. Ain't nothing gonna stop just you from going what's ultimately your destiny, you know, to walk in, because you keep doing the work, bro, and keep doing everything in the process that it requires, man. So we're gonna keep rooting for you. Today is at this point we're 7-0. You know, right now in Bellator, and it's been a hell of a journey. If you guys want to follow Dalton, that is just Dalton Rosta on Instagram
and Twitter and
Twitter,
I think, and
TikTok. Got the blue check mark too.
Blue check mark. I heard you got the blue
check mark.
Finally, come on.
Yep. Yeah. Got the blue check mark. Finally, been on that for a while. They should have. There was people that had it that before him. I thought he would have had it.
Yeah. I mean, 7 fights ago.
7 years ago? 7 years ago, y'all should have knew.
Yes.
Look, when I was 19.
I wasn't even fighting yet.
When I was 19, y'all should have knew and just gave me the thing in advance.
I knew it.
You know what I'm saying? Now you blew it on yourself. So we got Dalton. Let's go. And thanks for coming on the show, brother. We appreciate you. Super proud of you. Go ahead and follow my man Dalton Rosta in his continued journey of greatness in the mixed martial arts world as he takes this bitch by storm.
Let's go.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the GRINDcast. Get ready, it's a new day.